Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 24, coming to you from the desolate wastelands of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're recording on April 29th, and I am your host, Elric Edge. With me are
Bill Costello.
And James Tapia.
tonight's topics are going to include all our standard discussions, what's coming out, what we've been up to, etc. And we're also going to discuss what we think so far of what's been drip fed to us about 8th edition 40K on the Warhammer community website, as well as a interview with Stephen Duall, who is running the Kidshammer Age of Sigmar event at the Nova Open this year. So stay tuned for that. It's a very cool idea that he's put together. Let's do a show.
Yeah, let's do that. The Realm of the New Dawn, where we're going to talk about the stuff that's coming out from GW, and if you're purely AoS, you might want to just skip ahead, because...
Yeah,
oh, wait, no, there's Caradron Overlords. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just more drip fed.
Yeah.
Overlords, kind of 4 weeks of releases.
Yeah.
Seems a bit much.
And catching up with some of the sold out items is going to be interesting too, because I mean that first wave was gone in seconds.
The second wave was too.
Yeah, well,
on the online store, anyways.
Yeah, I imagine they're going to be playing catch up for some time. So, but you know, I either that's artificial to create hype, or it's really production based.
They're taking a page out of Nintendo's playbook.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, it's not a bad thing to do to create that desire to have it, because then it also creates, that desire in people to order it right away when it comes out, so that you're not the guy that doesn't have it. So I don't know. There's some logic to that. So
yeah.
But as far as, pure AoS, that's the only things coming out that I saw. Of course, next week is the drop of the White Dwarf. I don't know, gosh, it's going to be the month of the anniversary of, what other game was it? Oh, yeah, Warhammer 40K. So.
Oh, we did have didn't they show the new 30th anniversary's White Dwarf?
The White Dwarf, the new White Dwarf that isn't horrible? Yeah. So, yeah, the new White Dwarf model was put on display today for pre-order. It's the one with the packages behind it. He's the 30th anniversary model. He looks much better than the last Grumbernal they put out. A lot better.
The Witch Hunter one? Because there was like a Witch Hunter looking one too, wasn't there? Last year or something?
Yeah, but then there was also the White Dwarf who was doing like a cartwheel handstand thing, remember?
Oh,
we voted him as one of the worst.
Yeah, that was different. That was different.
Yeah, a little different, but
yeah, no, he's a pretty cool looking guy. He's in power armor.
Yeah, he's in marine power armor. If you look, his backpack is a keg.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of neat touches there, and the black gobos behind him.
40th birthday.
Yeah, 40th birthday. I'm sorry, I said 30th.
So there's actually another White Dwarf too. Did you see this? For Blood Bowl, there's a White Dwarf and a black gobbo model.
Yeah.
So pretty cool.
Yeah,
they're doing those.
I like the way they take those. And they put a little humor into what they're doing, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
they've always done that sort of thing. But other than that, there's really, I guess today they also released some new terrain for what's the name? Shadow War Armageddon.
The industrial terrain kit.
Yeah, beautiful.
Wow. Vehicles.
Yeah, the big crane things.
God, I'm looking at it right now. That is, check that out if you haven't seen it yet. That is
gorgeous. Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna.
You getting one of those, Bill?
You betcha. So.
Jeez.
So really, honestly, there's not a lot in the new Dawn thing because we're coming up on the end of the month. New White Dwarf comes out next week, so we're going to be a little off cycle for the new stuff. But
Dawn of War 3 dropped.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And what a drop it was. Wow. Ooh, I mean, that was, 4 DVDs to load it? Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Big game. It looks stupendous. It really does. Like I said, all I've gotten to play is the tutorial so far. But it just looks, the cinematics are, oh my God.
Sweet.
Kind of like you with the Overlords.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but that's it for New Dawn, I think, right?
Yeah.
I know
Remember
that.
when
Well,
this
there
section
was.
used to be like 30 minutes?
Yeah. Well, the Forge World did the. Forge World released that one model for
Thranduil?
Hobbit. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Thranduil, and then the other. What was that chariot thing?
Oh, the dwarf and the Iron Hills.
Iron Hills.
Some kind of crazy chariot.
Yeah.
I don't know. Every time I see that stuff, I'm just like, I have to make a save versus Hobbit.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's getting to be like you're no longer saving on a 2-up. It's becoming a 4-up now.
It's getting rough, man. The models are just outrageously good.
Yeah, they really are. If there had been this much effort in it, a year ago, the game might have taken off.
Yeah, well,
So,
maybe if the
might
movies
have.
weren't so goofy.
yeah. Well, I don't know. It's still a better love story than Twilight.
Yeah, it is.
So, my bad. All right, let's move on to creation.
The realm of creation, where we're going to talk about what we've been up to in the hobby the last couple of weeks. I actually have something. What? So I'll get this out of the way fairly quickly. It's not a whole lot, but at least I've been doing something. I was unable to get my Overlords. I've been slow burning a Space Marine project in the background in anticipation of 8th edition. So I've been assembling just tactical Marines because they're always good. You're always going to need them.
Oh, yeah.
And I just put together 5. I figured it's a slow burn project, and I'd rather just make slow progress than no progress at all. So I put together 5 of them, primed them, and base coated them. Do them as Black Templars.
Yay.
Black Templars are awesome. And this will be my 4th or 5th Black Templar army since I've gotten into the hobby. It was originally going to be Imperial Fists, but I figured if I get into 30K, Black Templars don't exist in 30K, but the Imperial Fists do, so I would just do Imperial Fists. And Rogaldorn is the greatest Primarch ever. So,
yeah.
Anyways, but pro tip, painting black over black with poor lighting sucks horribly.
It's a little hard on the eyes, don't you think?
Yeah. It was, my eyes were pretty crossed by the end of it, and I just had to say, well, I think that'll work. So, yeah, I'm probably going to go out and invest in a new lamp at some point this week. So
I think Curry had some suggestions for you.
Yeah, I don't know about dropping like $150 or whatever on a desk lamp. I just need something that's better than what I have.
I picked up these two, the 2 black ones. Those are the Tau lights that Carl from Independent Characters is always talking about. And I was amazed. I measured the lumens on both of them, my older ones and those are actually better, and they're like $30.
Really?
On Amazon. Yeah, and they have 4 different settings. They're Tau lights, not to be confused with Tau fish people. But yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes to where you can get them on Amazon. But they have 4 different settings everywhere from reading. And the nice part is they change the temperature of the light. So when you're looking at your model, if you're always doing it at the brightest light and you're painting, you might want to knock it down to the reading section where it knocks it down to a much more daylight type light and see if the colors really are what you think they are.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, and they have a little USB connection on the back. Very bright, very handy light. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
they're great for the desk. You see, I got 2 of them.
Yeah.
So very handy.
Much better than, I mean, I'm sure that
150.
the lights that Curry linked are amazing. I'm not a painter.
Yeah.
If I painted like every day, then I would be up for investing that kind of money. But
Yeah.
So what have you guys been up to?
Okay, I'll go. I did the discs for my 2 Shaman and my 6 Skyfires so far. I've got the flesh on my Zangors, some of the bases, but then I had to stop because I realized for my Shadow War Armageddon force, I thought I had all the Necrons I needed done, and then realized they all had the wrong weapons for my kill team. So I had to run out and buy a box. I built them Thursday night, and I had to paint them last night for a game today. So, yeah, that's what I did.
Nice.
Yeah, I got to get back to work on terrain. And, of course, I got to finish up the Skyfires and Tazangors. What about you, James?
I decided to repaint 30 blues.
They weren't blue enough?
No, well, I think when I first got the airbrush, I tried to do some blends with them, and I think I found something better to do with it now. So now I'll have 60 blues that are all the same. 60 blues, 60 brims.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Are you taking those to the tournament tomorrow?
Yeah.
Nice.
That's why I painted them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use all of them. I'll probably need more, but it is what it is. I've just finished up 2 other heralds on foot. And I think, because it's only been, a week since we last recorded, so...
Yeah. It's only been a week.
I was out of town this week.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got done. I did, if we count buying models, I did some other hobby.
Yeah, if you count buying models, we all gave Frontline Gaming a little bit of our money. So...
and then I did work on some Stormcasts. Converted some regular Liberators and Judicators into Vanguard Raptors.
Wow.
And long shots.
Damn.
It's all Stormcasts. They're all just...
Yeah.
They're all the same. So you can just... I got some bits off of Bits World, put the new arms on, put the new heads on. Stormcast Raptors.
Yep.
Long strikes, whatever.
Yeah, that works. Always nice to get something like that done. Is that it for creation?
Think so.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll move on to battle, because that's fun.
The Realm of Battle, where we're going to talk about the games we've played. Bill, I hear you played something.
I did, but it wasn't Sigmar.
Oh.
It was Shadow War Armageddon. Over there at Active Imagination, we started the league today. We're doing a quick league. I think we're playing to 9 points, 9 Prometheum, just to get everybody a feel for the league and how the new set of rules plays. Because it is the old Necromunda, but there are some changes, and obviously the forces are completely different. And there's obviously some things that have to be changed in the Force org. I won't bore anybody with the details, but there's a couple of factions that can't actually use their points that they get during the game. So, because their models are just too damned expensive. But I played a game. We set up a big table. We set up a 4x6 table today because there was 4 of us starting up the league, and we just covered it with terrain. I've got some pictures. I'll put them up on Instagram. Just absolutely covered it with terrain. We split it down the middle and played 2 separate games. And so anyway, Lee Sweeney was setting up the league. So we set it up, and we picked a mission and went with it, and he was playing his hybrid Gene Stealers. So he had 3 models on the board. I was playing my Necron, so I had 5 models on the board. So and it turned out to be just the way the scenario shook down. I didn't know what his victory condition was. He was the attacker, and he rolled on a chart to see what his victory condition was. So I had to kind of try to defend against all 6 or all 5. And so that was difficult. But what was really funny is we're both so kind of survivable, and we both were doing a lot of Overwatch and hiding, that we actually ended the game with him winning by achieving his objective to run off the board. And I had no wounds. He had no wounds. He rolled a 1 for his caches. So we actually, at the end of the game, we were both equal. So we both got upgrades and everything, but we got through the mechanics and we learned how to play, and it was a lot of fun. It's a good game. It's fun. And I'm looking forward to being in that league. It's going to be fun. And again, I had a full army. 5 guys, 5 Necrons. He had a completely full army with 3 guys. So it plays way fast.
Nice. Very nice.
I didn't play a game.
Oh, I was going to say, is this where I put the cricket sound?
So me, I played Chad yesterday in the Escalation League. We had that. And we were still doing 750.
Yep.
And we played the scenario that you made up, Bill, the second one.
Yep.
Which I think worked a lot better.
Good.
Than the first one. So I was running up against Chad's death.
Oh boy.
He had Ghoul King on a zombie dragon. Mm-hmm. 2 units of ghouls. And a unit of crypt horrors.
Nice.
I think that was like 740.
Yeah.
So, and I was playing Zinch, of course.
Yeah.
Gaunt Summoner, Shaman, It's a unit of Skyfires, unit of Blues, unit of Brimstones with 140 points in summoning. So, in this scenario, whoever was the defender picked a random piece of terrain.
Yeah.
Noted it down, and that was the artifact we were fighting over. And then slowly, the attacker would slowly reveal, or he'd have better chances of revealing which piece of terrain was the one that was the objective. And we set up, and the first turn I could reveal the piece of terrain, I rolled that 6. So I found out which one it was. He kind of sent his vampire, the zombie dragon, into the middle of my army. He able to kill my Gaunt Summoner and kill a unit of pinks, which then multiplied into 20 blues.
Sometimes it's counterproductive to kill those.
Yeah. And then he was kind of in the middle of my army, and I just kind of shot off the zombie dragon.
Painful.
I think, I got the turn I shot it, I got it down to 1 wound. I was like, I know this is what's going to happen. I'm going to get him down to 1 wound left.
Yep.
Got it down to 1 wound. He got a turn. He did have the Cloak of Mist and Shadows, but my army had surrounded it pretty good, where there was really only like 1 spot for him to go.
He couldn't get the 12 inches, yeah.
Yeah, so he was kind of like running up the board edge, and then by that point he was really hurting, so I think he only got so far, but you can't run from Skyfire.
No, you can't run
on a
from
4x4 table. So...
And the problem with the Ghoul King on Zombie Dragon is he doesn't get the Chalice.
Mm-hmm.
So he can't do the D6.
Yeah, I mean, he was healing he heals every turn, though.
He does.
D3, but...
Yep.
So, yeah, he tried running away and got shot in the back, and then by that time, all my horrors had marched upon his little ghouls. And we pretty much took them off.
Yeah.
And as everyone knows, if you don't know by now, Skyfires are better in combat than they are in shooting, or just as good necessarily.
Yeah, they're as good
with the rerolls to hit and rerolls to wound.
Yep.
In combat with those discs, they're pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah, I honestly see the Skyfires going up in price in General's Handbook too, because unlike the Kurnoth Hunters, the bow-armed Hunters, they're not that good in a fight.
No,
the
they just don't
really
die
are.
is their thing. And then the Skyfires put out a ton of damage.
Yep.
They're kind of the opposite. They put out a ton of damage, but kind of can die easily. And
they can battle shock out real easy too.
Yeah.
So, thankfully, otherwise they'd be just stupid. Kind of like the Caradron Overlords are. What, no rage? Okay, fine.
He's checking Facebook.
Yeah, I was just watching stupid videos. Sorry.
Oh, you're just feeding Boss Hoss.
Yeah, I know. Who?
Oh, I'm sorry, the other host.
Oh, God.
Oh, so is that it for battle? Are we done?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Soon I'll have just like Realm of Creation.
Oh,
I'll have a segment here again.
Hey, if you want to do Storm War,
Storm War.
Shadow. Armageddon. Forget it. Why do I keep
Necromunda?
saying... Yeah, Necromunda. Let's just call it Necromunda. I mean, literally, I get Shadow War Armageddon, as well as the AoS game, which is what? Shadespire? Okay. Shadespire. Whatever. I'm getting them all confused because they all start with sh and end with r. So
better than starting with sh and ending with t.
Yeah. That's a good point. Ooh. There goes our clean rating.
No, I broke it up. It was like a Sesame Street curse.
Speaking of which, I do apologize for not bleeping out the last show. I left one curse word in there. I feel bad.
Excellent.
Bill.
See? Now I can do it again. Let's move on to lore.
All right. The Realm of Lore, where we're going to do a 2-part bit here. We want to talk about the bits of information that we've got about 8th edition, 40K coming out. Every day on the Warhammer community page, they have been putting up a new tidbit, if you will, regarding some new rule for the new edition. So we want to discuss that and our feelings and towards it, and maybe a bit of a haha, I told you so. And then
let the galaxy burn.
Yeah. And then we're also going to have a interview with Stephen Duall from the Nova Open about his whole Kidshammer event. So definitely stay tuned for that, because it's very interesting concept that he's cooked up there.
And yeah, the way he's doing it is first rate.
Yeah,
Amazingly well
definitely.
done.
And if you have any questions, we talk about it in the interview, but I think a lot of this stuff kind of blends in the interview.
Yeah.
So let me say it here. If you have any interest in doing a similar event in your area, definitely contact him, because he talks about how he has some information on like do's and don'ts and stuff. So definitely check that out. So first off, 8th edition coming around, probably right around. It's got to be right around the corner. At this point.
Yeah, I
If they're-
think
To be doing daily updates, you know,
Yeah,
they'll
they're gonna-
have
they're
6
gonna-
months of daily
exactly.
updates.
And I think Rob Bear was saying that they have blackout dates in May
Yeah.
for when employees can take off and not take off, and
Yeah.
they're coming up pretty soon on
Well,
it.
So pretty much after the ridiculously long, drawn-out Caradron Overlords release is done,
They're going to drop
it'll
this.
probably be 8th edition.
Mhm.
Well, and if you look at it, they have this love affair with anniversaries, and this next upcoming White Dwarf is the anniversary for
40K.
40K. So
Well, they
this is
should.
the
I mean,
time.
So just real quick, I mean,
40
that White
years.
Dwarf is a 40th year mark.
Yeah.
If you look at, I think Forbes did a thing about the number of companies that last more than like the number of top rate companies that were around like 50 years ago. And this article was done a while back, so obviously some of that has changed. And the number of those that still exist today,
it's
like a tiny, tiny amount. It is hard to stay in the game, in any game, for that long. And so for Games Workshop to be where they are still as there's nobody else. There's
in
nobody
their
out there.
league.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not just
amazing.
fanboy talk. I mean, you look at them, they are the behemoth in the industry.
Absolutely.
And, you know, but 4 years ago, we were talking about how they're going to be bought by Hasbro.
Oh,
and, you know,
I've been playing this game for almost 20 years, and people have been talking about
Exactly.
that the whole time. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that discussion is that rumor is about as old as a plastic Thunderhawk.
Yeah.
So
that's coming.
that is coming. So, but yeah, just ridiculous. So, anyways, we have seen how movement is going to work, how general stat lines are going to work, how the psychic phase is going to work.
Can I just we play Age of Sigmar. We've seen it all before.
Right? Exactly.
I'm
As well
kidding.
as weapon profiles.
Yeah.
So, and it's all been generally related to just generic Space Marine entries. So, like a bolter, a dreadnought,
Mhm.
a librarian, things like that, which is fine.
Stuff
know.
everybody can identify with.
Exactly. So, what are you? So let's talk about, because we've gotten 4 bits so far, right? Those 4
Yeah,
I
stat
wanna say-
lines, and I think today there was something else.
psychic phase. I thought.
Yeah,
was
psychic
today.
phase. Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's break it down one by one. Let's talk about. I think movement was the first one. So models in 40K having a universal movement stat was something implemented in 3rd edition. And ever since then, infantry has moved 6, vehicles move 6 or 12, fast vehicles move 18. Then they kind of bumped that up as they started bringing in like flyers and things like that. They move faster, but it's all the same, you know. And
Which is lame as hell.
yeah, it really makes no sense that a grot moves as fast as a harlequin,
Mm-hmm.
right? That just doesn't make sense. Or that a dreadnought moves as fast as a lictor. You know, those are just doesn't make sense. So back in 2nd edition, though, everything had their own
Move line.
movement profiles. They had crazy in-depth profiles, but we're just talking about movement right now. So I think it's a great idea for them to bring that back. I don't know why they got away from that, especially for so long, because in fantasy, everybody had their own movement values.
Yeah.
You know, dwarves obviously weren't as fast as elves, and etc. So I'm very happy to see that come back. And in a game where movement is usually one of the, if not the most important aspect, I think it's very cool to have that as something that separates armies.
Well, and there really should be a differentiation between the Eldar and the Space Marines, and you know, the horde of orcs and the Tau. There should be a difference between those. It's a no-brainer. I mean, I think this change is truly a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
They've needed it for 3-4 editions now. So,
And when you are going to
or 2 editions.
bring out, individual war scroll type things like Age of Sigmar has, it's so much easier just to have that information available right away.
Super easy.
What do you think, James?
Yeah, I think it's good. I know I was listening to some of the 40K guys at the store. They did have a little bit of a valid point, sort of.
Okay.
I know they were saying that now they know what everyone's move is based on the classification of the unit. Whereas now, when they're playing against their opponent, they won't know. I mean, I guess they won't know what the movement.
Think.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I know we're going to ease
nice.
them into it. So. Sorry.
They won't know how much Tyranid moves, or
But they will.
No, I know. You'll learn it eventually, and
right.
I mean, that's
what's so hard about going, hey, how fast does that guy move?
Yeah, I know.
I think everybody has to accept there will be a bit of a learning curve at the beginning.
Plus, I think
every edition's that way.
Right.
I think the other thing that the movement plays into is them getting rid of the initiative value.
Yeah.
And so that helps play with it, because if someone's faster, that means you may not be able to charge them, but they can charge you. And with what we heard with the charge mechanic being, if you charge, you strike first.
Mm-hmm.
I think that plays into that kind of mechanic as well.
Yeah,
so I think
I'm sure charging will be a random value. Again, it'll be
random.
No, but I mean, it's kind of like we used to, like when we had in 8th edition, you had 2 units that both moved 5 or 8 or whatever. You sit there at maximum distance, not wanting to
engage
to move. But if you had different movements like that, I mean, you could, Marines at 6 versus your guys at 9, you could sit outside that bubble and then your turn move in and charge, or
But that can also make certain units viable.
Yeah.
They haven't, like Howling Banshees, Striking Scorpions. I haven't seen the table in like probably 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they're trying to make combat
Assault Marines.
Combat an actual thing in 40K.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll touch on it later when we talk about the other things that they have revealed, and I think they're positive, because I mean, right now the 2 games are kind of different, whereas 40K is a shooting game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, and it should be a shooting game.
Yeah, and AOS is more combat oriented. With the last couple of releases, we've seen a shift towards shooting.
Yeah,
but I think predominantly still it's more of a combat focused game.
Well, and not to derail on a tangent, but in Age of Sigmar, the last few releases, I think you've seen shooting become a viable option.
Yes,
but I think, looking through the Caradron Overlord book and the Disciples of Tzeentch book, because I think those are the 2 big, well, in Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
But those 3 being the big culprits, there are very strong close combat options in those books, too, that I think people should look into as well.
And you also look at what they did with Blades of Corn. They made a non-shooting army able to compete with a shooting army by giving them the ability to get in close before they get shot off the board.
Sure.
So, yeah.
Let's discuss the new profile in general.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much the same. They dropped initiative, like we said.
Yeah.
But the big changes are nothing is capped at 10 anymore.
Thank God.
So that's something we'll see right away with vehicles. That's also another big thing is vehicles are not a separate profile where they have armor values and hull points anymore. Vehicles now have a toughness value and wounds, and they will also degrade in effectiveness, much like monsters and stuff do in Age of Sigmar. And I'm assuming that monsters, things like Carnifexes and stuff like that will also do the same.
Hopefully, yeah.
This is something that I have always wondered why it's not a thing in 40K. Why do vehicles have a separate chart than a monstrous creature?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you are a land raider, some special crazy Forge World nonsense land raider that's like 550 points. I can still pop you with a las cannon.
That's right.
One shot.
Yeah. Or I can get, snagged on a tree root, and that's it. Game over.
You
know.
Whereas with something like a Carnifex, the most I can ever do to you with that las cannon is a wound.
A glancing, yeah.
And
or a wound.
Yeah, and it always baffled my mind that's a thing. So I'm very happy to see this change. And I know a lot of people have been freaking out about las guns. Oh, I should never be able to blow up a Land Raider with a las gun. It's well, you never will. I mean,
Right.
mathematically, it's such an improbability that over 5 or 6 turns it'll never happen. Like, you know, you may get a Land Raider down to the last wound,
Mm-hmm.
and then, you know, happen to get that last wound through with a las gun and be like,
Sure.
oh, well, that was dumb. And it's like, well, the las guns aren't the ones that did all the heavy lifting. It just happened to do something. So, and don't forget, a las gun can shoot through 8 feet of, was it, steelcrete? Plascrete?
Ferrocrete.
Yeah,
Plascrete.
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever their fancy
Yeah. They're
concrete word is.
Yeah.
But the fluff for las guns is terrifying. They're garbage in the game.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'm really excited about. I'm trying to think if there was any other big changes.
The biggest thing about having the profiles not capped at 10 is it's going to give them so much freedom to personalize customize units, so that something that really does need to have a +3 is going to be able to get it. You know, you're going to be able to put that war gear on there that might push somebody over, and they're not going to have to use some kind of artificial scale so that they don't hit that arbitrary cap. That's the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is, you know, you can now put, you know, a personal void shield on somebody that isn't going to break the entire game because they all have to look a certain way. So, I don't know. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, definitely. And it actually kind of touches back on, remember we were talking to Paul Murphy, and he asked them about the whole like D6 thing.
Yeah.
You know? And their comment was, you'd be surprised how much
What
more you can get out of a
with
D6. And you can when you do things like where you move vehicles over to a same profile as everything else, and then you remove that 10 cap so that, you know, a Land Raider could potentially have 16 wounds or something like that. And, you know, it just allows for so much more flexibility and uniqueness amongst all the different unit entries.
Can I just mention that I'm glad they're going towards the AoS route? Looking at the stuff, I was a little bit disappointed that it didn't go more AOS-y.
Okay.
Well, because with the strength and toughness, you're still probably going to have some kind of a chart, I'm assuming, instead of just I'm wounding on a 4+ or whatever it is. That's first world problems, though, since I'm playing both.
Yeah.
Because right now I can keep my 40k and my AOS pretty straightforward because they play totally...
Yeah, it's like playing War Machine and Age of Sigmar.
Yeah,
you know?
it's a totally different game.
Right.
But as they merge closer together, it's going to be like, wait, in this game, do wounds carry over? Do I have to... wait, I have to roll... You know...
Yeah, I get that. It'll be interesting how the strength and toughness play out if everything can still wound on a 6, right? So then it's kind of like, well, why do I need a toughness of 9 if something that's only strength 3 can still potentially wound me? So maybe there's an additional modifier in there that helps your save.
Well, and that's the whole thing is, look at all the differences you can do with mechanics, and you can have, you know, let's say your toughness is, say, in that 6 to 7 range, you get a +1 on your save. If it's in the 8 to 10 range, you get +2 on your save. Some, you know, you can play with it all kinds of different ways.
Sure. You could do something like, if your toughness doubles their strength, then it's on a 6+, 6+.
Yeah.
You know, and if it triples their strength, they have to 6+, 6+, 6+. You know, and people will be like, oh, great, that slows the game down. But there's already stuff like that kind of in Age of Sigmar, and it doesn't slow the game down.
No, it really doesn't.
At all. So, you know, if you're throwing 40 dice at something, and then I have to pick up the, like, 5 or 6 6s that I got, roll those again, pick up the 1 6 that I got, and roll it again. It really didn't slow the game down that much. And it gives something with a high toughness a reason for having that said high toughness. So,
and you know, one of the things I think mechanically in AOS, they've done that thing where, you know, like Vince Ventrella talked about this a while back, where you make it a more offensive centered game and you downplay the defensive portion of it to make it a more engaging and fun game for the players.
Yeah.
You see them doing the same thing in Age of Sigmar. There's really only one kind of save if you ignore death saves and the occasional artifact that gives you the ability to save against a mortal wound. Saving is just saving. It's not a huge, complicated mechanic. Even when you're looking at Sylvanet that have probably the most complicated save mechanic, what is it? Okay, so you're on a 2+ rerolling 1s. It's not hard to figure out.
Yeah.
Really not hard to figure out. You got to roll a lot of ones to get hurt. And I mean, I think they're going to go that same route with 40K. It's the things that should be incredibly well armored are going to be incredibly well armored, but you can use that exact same mechanic for something that's also really fast, like the Eldar. Don't have thick armor, but they're very hard to hit because you can't see them that long.
Yeah, well, and
it's
if
the
they
same
have
mechanic,
if they even then, everybody is potentially going to have this, their own War Scroll entry, and that means that you can just add something to like a Wave Serpent's War Scroll saying making modifiers or whatever. That was what was so amazing about Age of Sigmar.
Yes,
by getting rid of the universal special rules.
Yeah, in creating all these unique War Scrolls, which I'm sure was a massive undertaking, and massive kudos to the people that did it. But it was the first time that every unit in the game felt like it did what it was supposed to.
Yes.
What
it was, and what the fluff said it did.
Exactly. And which meant the whole army started doing what it felt like it was supposed to do. And it would be awesome if we could get that in 40K too. So by doing that, by creating these War Scroll type things and giving every unit their own unique little bit, it'll do that for sure.
Yeah, but I'll tell you that the drawback to that, and the huge drawback to that is, I now have a shelf full of limited edition codexes that I have to burn.
Yeah.
Because they're useless.
Well, we'll touch on that in the I Told You So segment.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about weapon profiles. So weapon profiles are something that are going to borrow heavily from Age of Sigmar. We saw that because one thing is there's no more templates, which is awesome. I'm so happy. There's no more templates and no more of that stupid scatter die.
Yeah.
The number of times that you would see somebody, the arrow was very clearly to the left, and then when they would measure it, it was way over to the right so they could hit whatever they wanted.
Oh, yeah.
It was awful. So to finally do away with that is amazing. They did it in such a way that I figured it was going to happen. Like with flamers, they just automatically hit and do like D3 or D6, depending on what kind of flamer or whatever they're going to be.
It's kind of like AoS works.
Exactly.
Oh, okay,
like
cool.
Yeah. And then something like a las cannon. This was really cool. This is the one kind of change that I saw, because a las cannon does D6 damage.
Right.
Whereas in Age of Sigmar, that would, if you did 6 damage to a unit that was all 1 wound models, that's 6 models that are pulled. Yeah. Whereas in 40K, if you do 6 damage to a unit of guys that have 1 wound, one guy is just super dead 6 times over.
Super dead.
And that's it. So I thought that was actually really cool.
It's
because it goes back to them saying they wanted to make everything viable.
Yeah.
And if a las cannon on a roll of a 6 kills 6 guys out of a tactical squad, then why take any other weapon?
Yeah, ever.
Why not just always take the hardest hitting thing?
That's right.
But if it's obviously an anti-armor thing or anti-monster thing, then you'll need it to fulfill that role. Whereas the heavy flamer is still great at taking out infantry.
Mob of 20 orcs now gets a flamer, not a las cannon.
Exactly.
That's the way it should be.
So, and did it have a Ren characteristic?
Yeah, I think they had a Ren characteristic. Yeah. So I think it was Ren 3 or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, which is probably a modifier to your save. Just like,
like 40K. Or just like Age of Sigmar, sorry.
Sigmar, yeah.
Yeah. So.
And psychics.
Yeah. And did we have anything else to say? I mean, we really just kind
of... we're, like I said before, with 40K being primarily a shooting game, we're seeing that the ranges are still being preserved for 40K. We're like bolter range, I think that was still 24 inches or whatever it was. Yeah. So last cannon was 36 or 48 or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah. We didn't see what any of the specials, because I think the bolter still said like rapid fire or something.
Yeah.
So we didn't see what rapid fire entails.
Yeah, hopefully rapid fire is not junk anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we're still seeing long ranges in 40K.
Yeah. So the last thing that we got teased with this week is the psychic phase.
The magic phase? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Which I was the one that I didn't quite read. So you guys are going to have to kind of take.
I think they gave an example of the base spell that everyone knows. It's called Smite.
Right.
It looks like it's the same mechanic where you're going to roll 2. It's Warp Charge 5, which I'm assuming is the same thing as in AoS. You have to cast it on a 5.
You're right.
If I roll 2 dice,
Get a 5 or higher.
get a 5 or higher. And I think it attacks the closest enemy model, which is a very interesting mechanic.
Which is a different, way different.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're not all going to be like that, but that's just that one.
Yeah.
The base spell that does that. And then it does Mortal Wounds.
That's right.
Which they said goes through armor saves and invulnerable saves.
Invulnerable? Ooh.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. I don't know if 40k is going to have 2 saves, if that's what that means.
Yeah.
So, or maybe they're just saying it just to, we're not going to have invulnerable saves anymore. I don't know what it is. So, that's what they said.
Yeah.
So, we got confirmation of Mortal Wounds. You're going to have, and then I think they said it was like 24 inches to dispel with another Psyker. So
it looks so similar to the Sigmar magic. It's not, it's almost a direct lift. And I can just imagine that you're going to have your level 1, 2, and 3 or 4 Psychers are going to have 1, 2, 3, and 4 things
spells
they can do.
Cast. Yeah,
and you're going to have lists for everybody of what they can pick. Yeah, that part of it I don't think will change much. And in reality, if you think about the psychic power decks, there's not much that has to change in those to just, all you have to do is give them a casting value. And
I think they said every army was going to have its own spell lore that they could choose from.
Yeah.
So to touch on it specifically, the Smite says a warp charge value of 5. And if it's manifested, it hits the closest visible enemy unit within 18 inches of the Psyker for D3 mortal wounds. If it succeeds on a 10 or higher, you do D6 mortal wounds, which is kind of cool. And then for mortal wounds, it says mortal wounds are a new mechanic too. These cannot be saved by any means and punch straight through thick armor and even invulnerable saves.
Wow.
Ouch.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Good night, robot girly man.
Potentially. Sure.
Although I'll bet you anything that, someone like a Primarch is going to have a quote unquote death save, against mortal wounds, just like we see now. There's certain things that can, there's things you can possess that will give you a save against those mortal wounds.
The only things in the game, there are some things that specifically state you get no saves, though, like Scarbrand's axe.
Right.
And
there'll be some of those in the game too. I'll bet you anything the sword the Emperor's sword that Reboot is carrying will have that. No, you don't get anything. This one makes you die.
Sure.
So, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
But he should also
they
have.
got rid of D weapons.
Yeah. Thank God.
Yeah.
But now you're on that whole different power scale. You can take what was a D weapon and say, okay, this now does 3d6 wounds.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that
it's
works.
Just as scary.
It's just as bad, except you're not looking at somebody going, oh, I'm just going to take this pie plate and whatever's under it, you just remove, please. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So take your Imperial Guard and just walk away.
So that's what we've been teased with so far. What are you guys' overall impressions?
I'm chewing on the woodwork around the doors waiting for this to drop.
Right.
Especially when they said that, and I believe this might be true, that in this upcoming White Dwarf, the rules will probably be in that White Dwarf. The full
4
rules.
pages.
I think they said it was 12 pages.
12 pages.
Oh,
rules.
really?
Yep.
Well, that's good because that means it's a real game.
Because under,
more than 4 pages.
6 and under is not a real game. So, yeah, that's Monopoly. Okay.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I believe they'll probably publish those rules. And I am just so dying to see this.
Yeah.
So.
James?
No, I'm pretty excited. Like I said, first world problems of trying to get my 2 games.
Yeah. I think that'll be the biggest thing is I'm already struggling to come up with content for Realm of Battle, our Realm of Battle segment. So it's like, I barely get to play as it is, and I'm going to have to split it over 2 games.
We could change our title to a Games Workshop podcast.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Really.
We won't do that.
I think we were pretty clear up front that
we were going to discuss.
Primarily Age of Sigmar, and I'm pretty sure we'll still be primarily Age of Sigmar, but we are obviously, with the launch of 8th edition, our 40K content will see a spike.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
More than we already do.
Yeah.
Hashtag not a 40K
Hashtag not for
podcast.
podcast. Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, honestly, we're not in the Cool Kids Club, so we didn't get pre-release Corrado and Overlords. So we're a week behind the rest of the world getting any of this stuff. So there's no real point in belaboring what everyone already knows about Overlords. So
yeah. So yeah, I'm also very, very excited.
Yeah.
About the new edition.
Just the thought of being able to play 40K again and seeing that entire shelf of my closet be somewhat reasonable to think about again.
Yeah.
Is going to be fun. And 40K is my first love. I love AoS, don't get me wrong. Not going to stop that at all. But it's going to be nice to be slinging las guns around again. So
definitely.
And that's really why I got into, Armageddon, Shadow War Armageddon, because it's filling that need right now.
Yeah.
So
I can see that.
Yeah.
So do we want to do a little touch on I Told You So, or?
I don't think we have to. I think everyone knows.
Knows it.
The galaxy may not have burned.
Right.
But my God, the game did.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess it's more rich when we're at the game store.
Yeah.
And all the 40K guys are there.
But what's really funny, though, is they're doing this rollout so much better. And they've gotten a lot of the big 40K podcasts on board to hype this as it's a good thing. And you're not seeing this overall. I mean, yeah, there's some guys, this is going to be stupid. But every new edition gets that. I see a lot of acceptance for this out there. I mean, even a lot of the 40K boards that I'm a part, the 40K Facebook groups and boards that I'm a part of. I mean, there's not this, huge screw GW. I'm going to put gasoline on my model. No, not seeing a lot of that. In fact, Andy 2D6 had to do he did his freaking great video about, screw you, GW. I mean, obviously it was fun. But, I mean, you're not seeing that. You're not seeing this outrage about a new edition coming out. So they obviously learned a lot.
Well, there was a lot to be learned from the Age of Sigmar release. So
I'm still not sure it was a mistake. I'm really not. We talked about this earlier. Fantasy was dead. Sure. It was not making them any money. They had nothing to lose. Yeah. And, there were segments of any community that you might not want as your customer base anymore, and they cut those people out. Now what do you have? There's a huge uptick in the number of Sigmar podcasts out there. Yeah. There's people playing this game everywhere. There's 40K guys that have come over and are playing Age of Sigmar exclusively. Now, yes, the new 40K is going to drop and they're going to go back. But the thing is they've got their armies. They're not going to forget what they were doing. They're going to play both. Just like we're going to switch, play some 40K at times. So you're going to have that cross-pollination. And this is what a company's goal should be, is to sell all my product lines to all my customers. Yay, I love my life.
Yeah, so definitely.
So I think with that, we can close this one out and we'll finish with the interview with Stephen Duall about the Kidshammer stuff. And we're going to talk not just about the Nova Open Kidshammer stuff, but, also about ideas to bring your 10 to 15-year-olds into the game and make it a rich and rewarding experience for both them and their adults that come with them, because that's who you really have to convince that we're not a bunch of smelly weirdos, even though we are.
Yeah.
So.
Because, kids aren't going to have the money to spend $425 on a fake pair of muddy jeans at Nordstrom's.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started. I wanted 3 pair, but then I saw the price.
I had to get the 4th?
Well, I wanted to look like I was a real working guy.
Yeah. I mean, you want them to look worn out without wearing them out.
Just want to walk up to whoever did that and slap him in the head.
With a brick?
Okay. That works
shovel.
too.
Shovel would be good. A brick duct tape to a shovel.
Okay. Yeah. You are such a... But you know what? They hit the right price point too, because the only people that are going to buy it are the people that are going to look at it on the street, and I'm going to walk up to them and slap them just for no reason.
Yeah.
Because if you bought those, you need slapped.
Actually, it does everybody a favor, right?
Yeah.
So, like you said, you see somebody wearing those pair of pants and you can just say, oh, sweet, you're one of those people.
Yeah.
And I don't even have to bother talking to you.
That's right.
Moving on.
It's the same guy that has the gold iWatch, you know?
Yeah.
You've already told me you're a complete jack.
Oh my.
I don't need to ask you if you are or not, you know?
Right.
Because not only if I engage you in conversation, are you going to tell me how successful you are, but I can just look at your watch and know it as I punch your lights out. Sorry. That's probably going to go in the bloopers, but maybe. I don't know.
We'll see.
So anyway, on to Stephen and all about the Nova Open. Yay.
I apologise for that. I think you'll find this a bit more interesting.
So tonight we're going to be interviewing Stephen Duall. He's running the Kidshammer event at Nova Open for Age of Sigmar. We're going to discuss what the event's about, what the Kidshammer event is about specifically, and probably tail off into some discussion about kids and gaming in general, whatnot. So, Stephen, how you doing?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
For sure. So you're going to be running the Kidshammer event for Age of Sigmar at the Nova. So just go ahead and lay it on us. What exactly is the event, and what's the goal of it, etc. Kind of give us the meat and potatoes of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's something that's close to my heart because I have 3 kids. I have 2 teenagers and a 9-year-old daughter. I kind of got back into gaming through them. It's just been a great family experience for us. I mean, something me and my boys can always relate to and talk about, and it's been kind of a father-son kind of thing. And I'm just kind of like that person where if it's something, I find something that works, I kind of want to share it with other people, not because I'm really a nice person or anything, but just, hey, the more people can do it, the more fun it is for me. So we started doing local Kidshammer here in the DC area for about 2 years now since Age of Sigmar came out, and it's got a lot of kids into our hobby, which is great for the hobby, getting new blood in coming up. But also, I think it's been something that both the kids and their parents have really latched on to too. Kidshammer and Nova would just say, hey, let's the guys and gals in Nova were good enough to allow me to take over part of the room to do this at Nova. And I just want to take it to the next level of sort of having 2-day focus on having kids who've either played before or have never played before to find out what the game's all about, what the community is all about, and maybe go away, having interest in becoming a regular Age of Sigmar player, or hopefully also being in the con and seeing other things, staying involved in the hobby. Definitely.
I think that's how a lot of people might get into the hobby. That's how I got into the hobby, was kind of vicariously through my dad. We did role playing, and then kind of role playing tends to lead into tabletop gaming when you go to the game store and see what's going on there too. So,
well, that's an interesting question, because it's like I always wonder, like, do kids because that was a question, like, how do kids get into stuff? I mean, it's like I certainly, when I got into, I mean, I was a D&D player back in the, in the 80s, and my parents had absolutely no involvement in that. I mean, they didn't even know what D&D was, other than they were worried I was going to get, converted to the devil or something like that. But, they had absolutely no idea. Me and my friends got it. We bought it. We went down the basement, disappeared for long periods of time, and it was completely just kids. But now, nowadays it's like there's really, I think, both because parents have changed, but also kids have changed. It's, the parents, my father, great guy, but, I saw him, we played Little League baseball and he coached and all that stuff. But, the idea that my father would actually, play Dungeons and Dragons with me was just like, that would just never happen. But nowadays, I think, parents sort of have the involvement, and I'm finding that, one way is that to get the kids involved, you almost always have to also convince sort of the parents that what you're doing is not wacky, and that there's something, in it for the kids' well-being too. How do you guys, I mean, did you guys get into gaming on your own, or did you have, friends or family? Because I'm interested in this, because it's like, trying to figure out who I should be reaching out with right now to get the word out about coming to Nova. It's not obvious, because, I think the demographics right now are mostly guys in their, 20s, 30s, who don't have, if they have families, they have young families, which, it's not true of everyone, but I think that's the, if I had to guess, that's the demographic. So those kids aren't going to come out to Kidshammer, but so they're not maybe the people we need to talk to, but who is it that we need to talk to get, new people into the game?
Well, I know Bill's definitely in his 20s.
Oh, yeah. With a couple of anniversaries thrown in. But I started when I was in high school, full-scale D&D and all that stuff. It had just come out. And boy, that was an eye-opening thing. We actually started a club, and from that it kicked over to chainmail and then all the other different miniatures games. It was a crazy time, but you're right, I'm in that same boat. My father playing, not gonna happen.
Yeah, I kind of laughed just even thinking of that image.
Yeah. I'd be too embarrassed.
Yeah.
So mine was through my just local game store. I know because I was down there playing Pokemon at the time in middle school.
Gateway drug for
gets
wow.
the kids into the game store, and then while I was there, I saw other games. I was like, that's when I started seeing like Warhammer and Hero Clicks or not Hero Clicks, Mage Knight or whatever.
Yeah, Mage Knight,
and kind of just got into that and slowly built it up. But
yeah, I made sure that when we were scheduling for in the local game store, we got the block right before the Pokemon group came in, because that's just like I had a lot of people come in who just were like wandering through the store and then stopped and looked. I'm like, hey, you interested? Come, we play every. And I was like to really, feel like a dealer or something. It's like, hey, you interested? Come on, I can hook you up. It's like.
Nice.
Try it. I like it. It's great. Yeah, the Pokemon's definitely a way, and Magic, of course, too. Though I find Magic, by the time they get to that, they've kind of, hardcore. They've gone already into their drug of choice, so to speak. But the Pokemon crew definitely.
Yeah, Magic is a tough one to get back out of when you start going down that path. I got into it. I was into comics when I was real little, and I don't know if anybody will remember, Marvel used to do cards that just had artwork on them.
Oh yeah.
And I used to collect those, and the comic book shop that I would go into was also a bit of a game store, and there was guys playing a huge game of Epic, and I just kind of stood there and watched them, and they asked me if I wanted to jump in and run a unit, and I ran like a Thunderhawk gunship and crashed it into a building with a bunch of guys with mohawks or something. I don't know. But ever since then, I mean, that was it. I was hooked. But the problem was being like 8 or 9 years old at the time, cost.
Yeah.
It's so expensive. Even, back then it was a prohibitively expensive.
And that's sort of, that's sort of like the perfect segue into like, into what Kidshammer's about, is that I'm finding it's like, you really got to, you can't just, I think GW should be lauded, should be absolutely, applauded for what they're trying to do with Battle of Vedros and some of the other kits. But honestly, if you just put those in a Walmart and have a kid go and pick it up by themselves, the chances that kid is going to stay in the hobby, I think, is probably pretty low, unless he gets into a group of friends that really can support and, help each other out. I think that the nature of the game, certainly, 40K, certainly up to through 7th edition, has just a complexity level that is really hard for, I think, kids to stick with. Really, I think that's why I think it's incumbent on us as a community to welcome the kids in, being, help them through the ropes and help supporting them both through, helping them out, but also what we do in Kidshammer is, I have a lot of models. They play with mine. I don't, no one has to buy anything. They don't have to. Usually they do end up buying stuff, which is another topic of conversation. But, they can come in and they can play without putting any kind of investment in. And, Age of Sigmar was just like the perfect vehicle. I had never played fantasy, but it always was a little prohibitive. But Age of Sigmar came out and I said, hey, look, rules online. You can start off with a smaller force, it's starting a new thing. And it also was just great because, all the nerd rage that happened when Age of Sigmar dropped out, I was able to pick up armies really cheap out of the air for that summer.
Yep.
It's like, no, don't set it on fire. Give it to me.
Right.
It's like, we'll have it do heroic work, helping, and don't burn your dark elves. We'll put them to use. And as a community, you really need to, either as a parent or, if you're just a gamer in the game store, you got to help, especially the younger kids out, because they're not going to be able to do it, on their own.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a big, huge plus. What you're doing out there with that is the kids can play with the armies that you provide, but they can also buy something on the side here and there, and it makes it a little bit more palatable for mom and dad. Yeah, mom and dad don't have to shell out, $300 for an army. They can do it. Hey, here's $33. Here's a unit. Go ahead, paint it up. See if you're really into it. If this sticks, then we'll get you some more.
Yeah, that's what I had to do with Jules. Was I provided him with the army, and that helped him out, because I don't think that his initial to do that upfront cost with him is he's a kid, he's not gonna have those kind of funds to do it. Yeah. I mean, now he can spend money on it if he wants to, but I mean,
yeah, and I mean, I think that's there's also a challenge of the game too, because like I know I had some friends of my kids who were friends of my kids who tried, getting into 40K because that's what we were playing at the time. And you love them. They get so enthusiastic. They go out and buy a box of orcs or whatever, and they get the models. And if they manage to put them all together, what they do is they want to put everything on it. It's like I have 2 power claws, 3 boss poles on the back, and you're looking and going like, hey, that's a really beautiful model. You can't play with it because it's just like, cost-wise, it's just it's silly. What's great about Age of Sigmar, that mechanic of basically where you can just choose for free how you're going to kit out the models, and it's not going to affect the point costs. I mean, it just gives them a lot of freedom to, build what they want to build and not be doing it wrong. And certainly in 40K through 7th edition, there was a lot of ways to do it wrong. So Age of Sigmar, I think, has just been a great vehicle for, getting kids into the game.
Definitely.
Surely is. Now, at Nova Open, where you're running the Kidshammer event, is that like a 2-day event? Is it going to be running continuously? Or? Yeah.
We're going to run it Saturday and Sunday. We're going to start at 10 and go through to about 5. So it's going to be sort of, respectable hours.
Yeah.
And, what I kind of think was like, I wanted to give the opportunity for the kids to get, a whole view of what's going on. So the first day on Saturday, we're going to have three sort of open game type games. We're going to have some narrative games. We're going to have some multiplayer games. We're going to have some one-on-one games and rotate them around. So the armies will already, we'll provide the models and have the armies all set up and the missions all set up. And I'm going to have some really cool terrain that I've been building, and going to have their chance to rotate it around. If they want to bring their own armies, hey, that's great. We'll work them in, but we're not expecting them to come in. But what we're also going to do is we're going to run a 1-hour hobby seminar on how to build models, because that frankly is a challenge for them. Okay, I got this sprue. What do I do with it? And then a 1-hour seminar on how to speed paint, or basically how to I've had a lot of painting days with the kids, and the kind of things that they're not going to do layering. They're not going to do edge highlighting. You basically got to get them. How do you get something without going overboard? I mean, we had the one kid, we had a painting day, and he did a really nice job on his model. It was all looking good. And then I showed him the Blood for the Blood God paint pot.
Uh-oh.
I said, okay, so you want to put that on? He just took it and he just like slathered it on. It looked like the guy just, came out of a sausage factory or something. He was really happy with it. So I was like, hey, great. I mean, if that's your model, if that's what you want it to look like, hey, I'm all for it. But you got to, trying to figure out how you can give them techniques that they can, paint and get something they're happy with. Because one of the, the things of the game is they look at the models on the box and they look at, what some of the more experienced painters have. And, they want to do this, the same thing. And they don't realize that no one picks that up naturally. And particularly, I think if everyone, remembers what their first models look like, it takes a little while. So it's just basically how to get them up to speed fast. So that's kind of day one. I mean, not everyone's lucky to have James and, painting their models. They don't have that skill. So,
wait, what are you trying to say?
I'm talking about me. I'm not.
I paint models too. I just don't get whole armies done in time for tournaments. That's what James is for.
I saw some of James' work. I was at LVO. I didn't play any of you guys, but I saw you there, and I saw the armies, and I saw everyone's work, and impressive stuff.
I think you played my wife, for which I apologize, but
I don't think I know I played Jules.
Yeah, I know you played him.
He tabled me, which was it's like I got him the first game of day 2, and I was 1 and 2 at that point. I said, got the opponent list. I said, well, it's a pretty nasty list. It's like I got to watch out for that zombie lord and the abysmal terror and everything. I had never actually come across the snakes until that game. Jules was, I saw Jules and said, oh, okay, it's a kid. Great. It's like, I can do kids gaming. I've done that a lot. I'll give him a good game. I'll, keep it close, and, we'll have a good experience. And then, by turn 2, I suddenly realized it's like, wait a minute, that does what?
Yeah. I wonder how many people went into that game with the same.
It's like, yeah, it's like, and the thing is that you can give a kid a powerful list, and, if they're, they can still mess it up. I can mess up a powerful list, but I mean, Jules was, he's kind of, he was just so boom, boom, boom. He knew the rules. He knew his rules. He knew your rules. He never forgot what he needed to do in the hero phase to, get everything off. It was actually, I really enjoyed, I got tabled by turn 4, but I actually really enjoyed that game because it was sort of like, okay, that would be what I would want, kids, to come out of the program being able to do, to have that kind of focus and just really being in the zone. And some kids can do that. Other kids can't. I mean, there's other kids who go in there and like they're regulars, and it's still sort of like they're jumping around phases and they're but having a good time. So it's like I'm not going to tell them how to have fun. I mean, it's like I think that would be the biggest buzzkills. Go over to them and say like, oh no, you're doing it wrong. Don't it's like you got to do this. If they're enjoying themselves and both sides of the table are having a good time, let it go.
Yeah. So it sounds like the event there at Nova is a pretty all-encompassing. You're hitting the whole thing. You're hitting the hobby. You're hitting the gaming. You're getting
tournament
completely into it, which is really awesome. I mean, kudos to you for doing all that work.
Well, yeah, and the great thing about it is also the next day on the Sunday, we're going to do a friendly 3-round tournament.
Oh, nice.
If kids don't want to do that, they can continue to do open gaming, or they might bring a silver tower that they can play with. But I'm hoping everyone will want to do it. And it'll be 3 games. I picked 3 from the the General's Handbook that I thought were kind of representative missions, and we're gonna teach them a little bit of how to play organized play and sort of the the etiquette and the what goes into that. And again, if they want to bring their own list, they can. But if they don't, they can use the armies that we had on Saturday to play on the Sunday. And the other thing that's great about Nova is they've given a little bit of financial support in the sense that, the thing we were worrying about is like, okay, if the kid, we wanted to make it cost accessible, for the kids, so they're not getting turned off by, convention passes and access passes, because it is a 2-day.
Yeah.
So what we basically did is that it's basically the kids will get it basically for free. They come with their parent will have to pay, but the kids will get it for free. There is a mechanism there that makes it very affordable both for the kids and for an adult to come with them, because I would love to have an adult come with them too, because I think that's the long-term support that will keep the kid in the hobby, as if there's a parent who's involved with it. And so if you go to the Nova website, you can see how that breaks down. I might have messed up a little bit of the mechanics of how it works. A lot of thought went into trying to do it that we could make it accessible for kids, but also kind of shut down any potential ways to work the system, but or to abuse the system. But it's definitely, we're trying to get it so that families can come, and maybe like right now it may, because of the demographics, it may be more of a a trial thing. But down the road, I think this is going to be a bigger and bigger part of our hobby as people get in more into where the kids are older. I know for me, if it wasn't for my kids' involvement in the hobby, I wouldn't be able to do as much. I mean, I went to LVO, with my boys. By the way, great trick out there, or, tip out there. If you want a trip to Vegas, it's like, oh, honey, I'm taking the boys out. We're going to go play some father-son talk. It's in Vegas, but we've done it 3 years now in a row. We've gone out to Vegas and we played the narratives in 40K, and we played the friendly tournament in 40K. This was our first year of doing Age of Sigmar. My middle son Alex was there co-captaining with me, and my eldest son went and played in the 40K friendly. And so what I'm hoping is that Nova and other cons in the future will sort of say, hey, look, can we do some things to promote families and give an option for for kids, not only the fathers or the mothers to game. So hopefully we're building up something that will last down the road and just become maybe a regular part of the convention experience.
That would be really cool. So did you want to touch on any of the other AOS events? I know there's a narrative event, and there's obviously the GT. Did you want to talk about those briefly at all? Or?
Yeah, I mean, just, it's sort of, Nova has always been sort of about an overall convention rather than just going to any particular tournament. So the way that everything is laid out and the way that, it sort of approaches that, encourages getting the whole experience, not just a part of it. Obviously, you sign up for, individual things that you're interested in playing, but there's just so much choice going on, both, in the tournament side, the hobby side, the vending hall is really great. There's, the after hours with the lounge that they have going on. So for Age of Sigmar, it's not just the GT. There's also a lot of narrative games going on. I know that the organizers are really excited about the narrative aspects of the game. We're going to participate in Coalescence that's coming up in June. Both Kidshammers and our local game store is going to do a joint sort of Kidshammer adult Coalescence event. So the narrative is going to be, they're very, very excited about the opportunities to do narrative gaming at Nova. And so if you're interested in the narrative aspects of gaming, definitely check that out. But the GT also is so much more interest in Sigmar than where there was a year ago. Both are going to be great events. If you can, do one or do both, definitely give it a shot. And, DC is I know for you where you guys are, it's more of a haul, but anywhere certainly on the East Coast, it's not hard to get to. Even outside of this area, the airport is literally like a mile away from where the convention is. I mean, when you land, you have if you want to see the monuments, that's a great way. Fly into National Airport, and you go over the river, you come down, and you're basically feel like you can reach out and touch the Washington Monument as you're coming into that airport. So it's really easy to get to. You can at that time. Labor Day weekend, it's a very quiet time traffic-wise in DC, so you can actually get around the city pretty well and check out, the monuments and what's going on with the family if you want to, make it a weekend out. But certainly, Age of Sigmar is, I think, definitely on the rise, and Nova hopes to continue, the great run that it's had in other cons in the U.S. so far this year.
And GW is going to be out there. Are they going to be doing the live streaming out at Nova? I don't remember if they were going to be doing that. I think they are.
Yeah, I don't want to answer that because I can't remember for certain on the top of my head, and I don't want to say yes or no and then be wrong on it. Forge World's going to be there, which is exciting, and I know GW is going to be involved in some way, but I can't remember the specifics on it. I mean, that certainly was. I know you've talked on your show other times about the new GW, but what a 180 from even just like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
It's head spinning. I mean, it's like I played with a bunch of people in 40K, and they're all excited about 8th edition coming out, and it's great because so far everything that's sort of been publicly revealed about it looks an awful lot like Age of Sigmar, and unlike the last time where people were going when Age of Sigmar dropped, you got the rage. Now people are like going, oh, that's good, it's the same mechanic as Age of Sigmar. It's like that worked. We've done that. It's going to be interesting because I think Nova will probably be the first big con after 8th drops, and also I guess sometime we're supposed to get the new General's Handbook, so it may be something new, for that, for Age of Sigmar as well.
It'd be awesome if both of them dropped in time for Nova.
No, that would be.
Nova got to use both the new 8th edition 40K and General's Handbook too for both their events.
I think I haven't talked with I haven't talked with Mike or any of the organizers about what they're going to do on that. But generally, if it's as long as it's been like more than a month from when the the con date goes, they go with it. I don't know we'll see what they do, but it will be, I know it's definitely I think it won't affect Age of Sigmar so much because they, Age of Sigmar and Nova has their own missions, a little bit like, Adepticon. So, it's not, if the missions change from the General Handbook, it won't, completely invalidate or change what, their missions were. But, certainly it's exciting to have the change that's going on right now and the quality of the models and social media and the community support is just it's a great time. It's easy to get kids excited and get kids excited in that when they can pick up the excitement that's going on in the community.
Oh yeah.
Is there? I don't know. It's like in your neck of the woods. Are you seeing in your local store a lot of kids coming in, or is that just not happening?
We had a moment where some kids were I guess interested in what we were doing, and James tried to run some demo stuff for them and whatnot. Yeah, they just had no attention span for it.
That was they get into 5 minutes in the game and then get ready to run off. So
yeah, they just start having their own conversation while you're trying to explain the game, and you can see their eyes wandering as you're explaining things to them. It's like, oh wow,
yeah.
Take your
I think
Ritalin, kid.
that goes from kid to kid, though. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like, it's Jules maybe demonstrates that that's not, but yeah, that does happen, and that's why sometimes you are just going to lose some kids, but but at the same time, we have regulars. We have about 5 to 6 who are like core regulars who show up we do it twice a month on Sundays afternoons. And, we play in a local game store, Victory Comics, which is also a comic store. So there's always that draw in too. So we have a core that plays, and that's also a great thing, because when you have kids who, come out week after week and know how to play it, you can sit down a new person with them and they're not learning from you. They're learning from someone their own age. And, that's great. We're now looking at, for space reasons, moving over to the local community center to rent space there, because, when there's a Magic Gathering release at the store, it becomes really hard to get space in there. So, that's it. Now, also trying to reach out, as I say, right now we're trying to reach out to the gaming community, but I think what would be even more important in terms of getting kids in the game is for the gaming community, talk to your if you don't have kids who are in the 10 to 15-year-old range, this is what we're targeting for the Kidshammer event in Nova. Do you have brothers or sisters who have kids that age? Do you have, kids in the DC area or on the East Coast who, might want to know about this? Or, is there anyone you can spread the word to, even if you yourself don't have kids or don't have kids that age, get the word out to other people and let them know, because I can tell you as a parent, there's a limited number of activities they can get in besides sports that aren't screen time related. And to be able to have, kids sit across the table from another kid, shake the hands, play the etiquette, play with models rather than, being on their phone. I mean, my kids play Battlefront, and I love it. It's great. If I had that, I would, I don't think I would ever gotten out of middle school if I had that kind of graphics back in the day. But
That's the truth.
yeah, seriously, it's fortunately right now my lousy hand-eye coordination saves me from getting sucked into that. But the people say like, all kids want to do is sit up, play with their phones. Like, yeah, they will if that's the only option they have. But my boys go fishing. They love fishing. We play 40K and Age of Sigmar, and you can get them out for 2 hours, and they'll definitely be into that, especially if it's a social scene. Play with my friends, and they have their own school friends who come in, and we just all sort of play at the same time, and they'll do it, but it does require a little bit of community support unless the kids are going to play by themselves. So yeah, so if you're in the East Coast, come to DC. It's going to be hot and muggy, but it's going to be really nice in the convention center and or in the hotel, and there's going to be so much going on. It's a lot of fun. This is I think my fourth Nova. I can tell you the people who put it on really, really care about the experience, and really, really want everyone to have a good time. And it raises money for charity, which is fantastic too. I literally can't guarantee you'll have a good time if you come out, and if you can anyway, have a kid, come and participate in this. I will do absolutely everything I can to make sure that kid goes away with having had a good time. So,
cool.
So thanks for you guys for doing these podcasts. It's certainly in my DC commute in the morning, which is like an hour to go 8 miles.
Yeah.
Listening to you guys, certainly makes it go by a lot faster. So thanks so much for doing this and taking the time out of your schedules to do it. And thanks for having me on.
We
no problem.
really want to get the word out about this because it sounds like such a great thing, and would love to see this spread because, I always have that thing is if you expose the game to 20 people and it sticks to one, we'll grow the hobby by 10 times,
Yeah, for sure. And, here in the States, because I know during the Warhammer live stream I think they were discussing the Quadrant Overlords with the rules writers and whatnot. In the background, you could hear John, the guy who ran the LVO, well, the AoS event at LVO, was doing a whole event with kids at Warhammer World. I guess, they have their whole thing going on there.
They have the school leagues. They're big over there, too.
Yeah, but, it kind of helps when GW is physically there. They can't really do that here in the States, so it's kind of on us to kind of replicate that same thing, but over here. Yeah. And that's awesome that's, what you guys are definitely pushing for there.
It could work. It works in so many ways. I mean, it's like it works on both sides. It is kind of silly that that if it doesn't, if it doesn't go. So I'm like really happy to, a little part, push that aspect of the game. And And I know there's others out there who are also interested in that part of the game. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's like I love playing with my adult gaming buddies. I mean, that's my preferred thing. But it's also great to be able to do the gaming as part of a family activity as well, and having your kids involved with it too, and their friends, and it's a lot of fun. Let's all do it, man.
Well, that's how you get more adult gaming buddies. Eventually those kids grow up and mature, and and then they can hang out and make all kinds of fun dick fart jokes.
Like us.
Like us.
Now, I just wanted to ask one more question about the event itself. Like, you're not playing with a subset of the rules or a different set of scenarios. You're using just straight standard AoS, right?
Yep, all the missions are running for the tournament are all going to be three of the 6 missions from the general handbook, and for the open gaming, I've taken again out of either the battle tomes or the general handbook, the multiplayer mission. I mean, we're going to do the one where you have the Stormcast fighting against the Khorns on the bridge, and I'm building a 2x4 foot bridge. I've modified the rules a little bit just because I'm trying to keep it around 1,000 points, just to keep it more manageable. So I'm tweaking the armies a little bit, and also I'm using the models that I have. I'm trying to minimize the amount of models I have to go out and buy and build and paint. But you basically have another one, the 3-player game where you have the Death Eater court. I'm going to build sort of like a little cavern, and there's going to be Duardin on one side and Skaven on the other ones with the Flesh Eater force. The 3 armies, battling it out. I'm not sure how to get in the Overlords into it yet because I don't have any of those models, but I would like to get those on because those are, those ships are really nice.
It'd be easy to work them in too. They just fly into the battle.
It's a cavern, so I got to think. But you know what? It can be a really, really tall roof cavern. It's like we're going to forge that narrative, man.
There you go.
There you go.
So we're gonna and the kids. I think they get that. 40K I think captures a certain segment of the kids' population, but every kid has related to sword and sorcery. I mean, at some point they've been exposed to it, and they get that in a way that maybe they don't get. The Horus Heresy and that kind of stuff. But they definitely get knights fighting things. Although it's interesting because the majority of kids. You think they do want, GW kind of says, the Stormcast are kind of their poster child, but most of the kids aren't drawn to that. They want to play death or destruction. They love the Death Eater court models. They love, orcs models. They also love the old dwarves, the Dwarden models. I like those. And a lot of them also like the demons of all different types. But it's funny. The kids will come in and they always get a choice of which armies they want to do, and kids kind of identify which of the armies. But pretty much the ones that get taken up first are not the Stormcast. The Stormcast are kind of like, okay, well, you've taken the Khorne demons and the Nurgle guys and the Iron Jaw. So okay, I'll play with it. I'll play with Liberators. So it's it's interesting. That dynamic. They like the bad guys, but
poor Stormcast getting picked last for the team.
Yeah, I know. The guys on the kickball team standing at the side.
Yeah,
you can dodge a wrench. You can dodge a ball.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm sure they get a lot of love from mom and dad, so they'll be very they'll be okay.
Yeah. Is there more we need to cover?
No, I was going to say is I've actually been reaching out to some other folks, including the mini wargaming guys and some broken paintbrush, and
nice.
There's a lot of enthusiasm with how can we help? And we're going to see if we can leverage that to make Kidshammer at Nova, a better experience by getting some of their stuff. One of the things I've wanted to do, and I don't know who's the right person to do it, but one of the things is the kids, they play the game, but they really don't understand what it's about in the sense of what the storyline is. And, it's like you can say, well, okay, here, read this battle tome. They're not going to do that. So what would be really great is if someone could put together, a short YouTube video that sort of just has the storyline that you can say, okay, go click and watch this YouTube video, because they'll do that. And it has explains about the old world, the old realm being destroyed, and Sigmar with his, dragon bro and forging new worlds and the gods, and then the Age of Chaos and them coming back. That I think would, be really something great for the kids to say. I've actually on the GW Facebook page suggested that, and they said, oh, that's a good idea. I'll take it back. But that was like 2 months ago, and I haven't seen anything. But if anyone in the community, is able to put something like that together without running afoul of, IP, that would be something that's, really would help people explain to the kids what it is they're playing.
Yeah, that would go a long way.
And I'm looking at doing with my, this can go, I'm looking at doing with my son, who has interest in film and that kind of stuff, trying to get on in the next month or so, a series of videos showing the different phases of the game and how you play it so that the kids can watch it before the Kidshammer. And we'll have that up on, we do have a website called kidshammer.org. It's still I'm still under construction right now. It's not ready for prime time, but we're going to have that on there. Some background information on how to play the game, so that if people want to, peruse it before they come out and they never play the game before, that would be there for them. But if they show up and say, I have no idea what I'm doing or how to play this game, it's like, fine. We're going to have an adult at every table. So if there's any questions, there's, either adult or one of my boys that's going to be at every table to help out with any rules questions. And they'll know the armies, they'll know the missions. So there'll be a lot of one-on-one or like 1-on-2 or 1-on-3 or 1-on-4 interaction there to keep the games going.
Yeah.
Really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking for, hopefully we can have you back on after it's over, see how it all went off. And I mean, it just sounds to me something that really every TO of all the major tournaments should be getting behind, because all you're going to do is increase your numbers. So,
yeah.
And I think they all understand that. None of these guys are dumb. So,
yeah. I mean, it's just honestly, it's one of those things that's, it's just the right thing to do. I mean, it's like, it's something that, it's good for the hobby. It's good for, the people who are doing it, and it's good for the kids who are playing it. So we'll see. First time ever, there's mistakes will be made. I am sure of that, but the kids don't care if you make a mistake. I mean, it's like, I've never had a kid who said, "Oh, I had a really bad time. You totally forgot those rules." I mean, they don't. The kids just want to, they want to have a good game. And that doesn't necessarily mean a perfect game. It doesn't mean it's like, one that comes down to the last roll. They just want a game where they feel that they're doing something and something's being done. And we had one game where we had one of the kids brought in, was helping me. He brought in some Lego. What are those guys called? They had those that not Ninjago, but it's something the most recent one. They had these boards that they print up that they're like these laminated boards. And he said, "Hey, we can use this as a mat." And I said, "Sure, let's put it down." So we put it down. And in one of it, they had this like printed banana, in the middle of it. And so the kids were like, I'm controlling the banana. And all of a sudden, we were playing a 3-person game. And all of a sudden, like all the kids were like forgetting the total main mission. They were all just trying to grab the banana. I'm like,
nice.
Do it. Let's go for the, it's the banana game. So, GW can work that into the next general handbook, the banana mission.
The banana objective?
The banana objective, yeah. So it's like, that's what kids will do. And it's like, it makes it fun for, makes it fun as an adult to see that. As I say, it's like, it was fun when we did the painting day and the kid just took the blood god and just, I was like going, that's terrible and awesome at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Blood for the blood god, Corn would approve. So, it's all good.
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Steve, for coming on. Really appreciate it. I mean, I'm enthused about it myself. I think everybody else should be.
Yeah, I think doing the gaming as well as the painting and just doing all those things over the weekend for the kids is a great approach. It kind of scratches all the itches for sure.
Oh, the one other thing that's great about it is that kids today, they don't get to, one thing that my parents were certainly, well, maybe not my exact parents, but a lot of parents in my age growing up with, like, letting kids actually do stuff that would maybe today be called, I don't know, dangerous or, unsafe. But, we do terrain days, where we go out in a garage, and like I've done a lot of terrain days with the Nova guys who have, sort of taught me their tricks. And I had the kids, cut foam, make walls and castles, spray paint, do all the stuff that you get to use all the stuff in the garage, with super adult supervision, of course. But they love that. I mean, it's like your kids, give a kid a can of spray paint and they're happy as clams. I mean, they're just like, I get to play with spray paint.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay, but make sure you're pointing it the right way.
Yeah.
And you teach them safety. I mean, you can say, here's the mask, here's how you do it, short bursts, control bursts. Doing that kind of stuff is also something kids love. That hands-on, thing where they get to, use glue and paints and cut foam and use a hot wire cutter for their foam, and they love that. And it's like it's our hobby's one that's a big part of it, and to have them be able to to come out and have a day doing that, that's great. Obviously, we can't do that at the hotel, but it's something that, if you're doing kids club, that's something to work into it, is to have a trade day wherever someone has a garage that they're willing to have the kids, work in. That's another great thing you can do with the kids hammer.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah. Anytime you can give them that sense of accomplishment from creating something.
Yeah.
I mean, I always get a thrill when I'm finished with something, and it's even more for a kid, I would imagine.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Look, I made that,
Yeah. And they make some really great stuff too. I mean, like no one out imagines a kid. I mean, it's like you look, some of the stuff they do, like wow, I never would have thought of that, because you're kind of like following what you think the rules are, and the kids don't know the rules, so they're just doing what they has in their imagination. And there's one guy went to town with one of those long handled lighters, because we showed him how to make blast marks in foam. And by the time he came out with something, it was just so twisted, I think, but it was perfect. I mean, it was like it was just like so sickly and done up. It's like, hats off. It's like, Geiger, came out, was reanimated as a kid. It's like, man, I would not have thought of doing that, but it worked. It was by accident, but it worked. And the kid went away really, really happy with what they did.
Nice.
And also what's interesting is, again, you can cut me off, but what's interesting with kids gaming is you have a really good chance of getting female gamers into it, which maybe you don't have with the adult clubs, because they're not as set as like, this is a guy thing or a girl thing. I mean, our club is still predominantly male, but it's certainly, it's maybe 60% male, as opposed to your normal, I don't know in your neck of the woods, but my neck of the woods, it's 90% male in the adult, game league. We have a lot of younger female players, and, they have a good time with it, and they, they're not really conscious about whether it's a guy thing or a girl thing. And, a lot of people say, oh, we had the girls, you have to have more female characters. I think that helps a little bit. The girls, just like the boys, they just want cool models, and, the girls are, equally happy to play ghouls and dwarves as they are to play, any of the female characters, Ariel or any of those. So, it's also a chance for kids hammers to maybe rebalance the gender breakdown of the hobby.
Anything that will do that is definitely cool.
Well, right on.
All right. See, so I had nothing more to say, but as I said, a DC lawyer, nature abhors a vacuum, and so do lawyers. So
there you go. Is there any, I'm going to get all the contact information and put it in the show notes so that people can reach out to you, and maybe if they have more questions or they want to, get something on a more personal level. So I'll grab all your information and contact stuff, and I will definitely put it in the show notes so that people can get your attention.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have the kidshammer.org site. It's already domains registered, and it's under construction. But in the meantime, I'll give you the www.victorygamers.org, which is our local gaming group that I run, and it has a whole page on Kids Hammer, and it also has a contact form where you can, fill in an email thing, and that comes to me. And if anyone wants to talk about Kids Hammer, they can reach me that way.
Great. Yeah, I will definitely put that in the notes and get it out there so people can ask the questions that they have that we didn't hit. So
yeah, and I guess that's another message I get out, is that anyone who's thinking of doing this themselves, and they thinks, hey, I like to do a Kids Hammer. First of all, feel free to use the name. There's nothing that's has the IP on that. But also, if you just want to talk about, I've done a lot of things wrong, and maybe I can save others from doing those wrong things, and I can, help out. So if anyone's looking at doing a local club and wants to talk to me about, hey, what have I seen or any advice I could pass on, I'd be really happy to do that.
Awesome.
Definitely. Yeah.
Awesome,
man. Well, thank you for coming on and telling us about this event.
Thanks for having me, and look forward to hearing the rest of the show when you have it done.
All right.
Yeah, we'll be putting it out the end of the week, or Saturday.
Yeah.
So
and if you guys, as I said, I know it's a long haul for you guys to come out, this way. But if you ever do come out, let me know. I'd happy to take you out to dinner and get some drinks and stuff like that. So, you have a friend in DC. Yeah, I know.
Awesome. Nice, awesome.
Yeah, that would be a haul. We've been thinking about what other events we want to try to incorporate into our.
Because I think we're going to do Adepticon next year, probably.
Yeah, that's the big one. Is we're going to try.
Yeah, that's like the Hajj. That's like that's the Hajj, the Mecca. Yeah. I want to do that myself.
Yeah.
I want to go to Austin to War Games Con.
What's that?
I like to go to Austin to War Games Con. I've never been to Austin, but I hear that's a
Yeah,
a fun
that
place.
would be probably a much easier one for us to get to.
Yeah,
But
a lot easier.
problem with Adepticon is it comes 3 weeks after LVO or something.
I know.
6 weeks.
It's like a month. Yeah, it's like a month and a half or something.
Yeah, it's not very long after LVO.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
burning a lot of brownie points with the old lady to
Mhm.
check
Yeah.
both those boxes.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I really enjoy the LVO, and it's sort of become a family tradition with me, my boys, because February on the East Coast sucks. I mean, it's the worst month of the year, so it's just really nice to be able to get out to Las Vegas and hear people complain about weather in this cold weather in the 60s.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Cool. Thanks, man.
I'm going to
Appreciate
drop
it.
off now and let you guys do the rest of the show and eat some pizza.
There you go. Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you,
All
Steve.
right. Thank you so much, guys.
And now for something completely different.
Recording.
Welcome to a blank screen.
Only person I know that can't work without a script.
We'll do it live.
Fuck it! We'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks! I'm so glad I'm recording because now I have a blooper.
Oh.
Well, that was really horrible.
Oh, you're always complaining!
No?
You start drinking some water. Too much Coke.
I had. Where's the water?
I brought it to Pam to put oranges in.
Oh, she was going to put oranges in. Woman. Jesus. You pay good money for a wife these days and you get nothing.
I've lost count of the number of strikes, Bill.
Who? Me?
Okay.
What is the main food that penguins eat? Spam?
A dwarf is enough to set you off. Huh?
Oh, Jesus, that came out of nowhere. I half expected an alien to come ripping out of my chest.
Get the comfy chair!
Do we just want to wait till she comes back? Yep.
Yeah,
We just
I
want to
think
wait
so.
till she comes back. Oh, dogs.
I didn't expect a kind of Spanish Inquisition. No one expects a Spanish Inquisition.
You doing them like... You know what I thought would be cool for Necrons is to paint them like skeletons. Like a bone. Is that what you're doing? Yeah. I was thinking about that. It was like last night or something. I was thinking like...
I'll go get him. Hold on.
Well, sir, I have got a silly walk.
I mean, I don't know. Is everything I say here going to be on the air, or can you cut stuff out, or
Oh,
because
no.
I edit the heck out of this
But
stuff.
yeah, Bill spends about.
Yeah, I've seen some of the bloopers. I guess you do.
Yeah. No, Bill is an editing wizard. He does a lot to make this show sound listenable.
Yeah, we can never do a live
Audio is
episode.
really good. I mean,
I don't care what the so-called avant-garde left-wing intellectual namby-pambies say. It is filth!